Vietnam,
What was your branch of service?
Army Security Agency,
What was your highest rank?
Specialist 5th class.
In what general locations did you serve?
Phu Bai and I Corps, northern South Vietnam.
Where were you drafted, or did you enlist?
I enlisted.
Where were you living at the time?
That I was enlisted. I lived in Waterbury.
Waterbury.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall the date?
I enlisted. I think it was August 29th, maybe 66.
Why did you join?
Well, I was going to be drafted, so to be honest with you, I had a draft notice. I quit college. I quit UConn, and so my deferment. They had deferments back then, and I was wide open for the draft once I left UConn.
Why did you pick the service branch you joined?
Some of the training, which I actually really didn't help me a lot when I got out, but I had a top secret security clearance that helped get employment later on.
Tell me about your first days in service.
That was interesting. Basic training was at Fort Dix, and one thing stands out is going to the first you process for like 2 or 3 days. You know, you take battery tests, physicals, immunizations, all that stuff. Going to the basic training company, everyone was on a big bus, and you have all your issue in front of you. You have the duffel bag, and you can barely see anything. You're all packed in there like sardines. And got at the bus stop at the basic training company, and one of the drill sergeants, they were all out there. They was waiting like, ready to pounce on us, like you see in the movies and everything. So this one guy in front of me is going down the steps of the bus, and he trips and falls, right? And, everything he goes flat on his face, and the duffel bag goes on the ground, and one of the drill sergeants came up to him, and he was screaming at him, and, he was using the F-bomb all the time. He was telling him how to, get up, who told you to take a break and everything. He was getting all over him. Then later on, we stood at parade rest for about 3 hours in the courtyard. And I guess one guy, he had a little fuzz on his chin, and he said, unpack, get your razor out. He had a dry shave right there in the courtyard. Then we had there's another barracks next to us. They were making fun of us. The guys, they were like only a few weeks ahead of us in basic training, And I remember one song that was playing is "You Can't Hurry Love" by the Supremes. It kind of stands out in my mind.
How did it feel?
It was kind of a shock, not a major shock, but I knew pretty much what to expect.
Can you tell me about your boot camp training experiences?
It was tough. You get up before dawn. We were up running. We ran like I don't know how many miles before dawn. A couple of guys getting dry heaves. They want to vomit, but there's nothing there. And they used to blow they used to throw garbage cans down the center of it. We had the old barracks, the old white ones. If you saw them, 2 stories, and they used to throw the garbage cans down the middle of the hall, near the hall, down the middle, and they used to bang on the lids. They used to use the police whistles. And when we got into new barracks, they were more like dormitories. They were brick, 1 story, and they used to blow that police whistle like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'll tell you, that was shrill. That was really.
Do you remember your instructors?
Yeah, a couple of them I do. Yeah.
How did you get through it?
I knew it was only going to be 8 weeks, so I said, I was in great physical shape too. So.
Now I'm going to ask you about your experiences. After boot camp, where did you go?
Went to Fort Devens, Massachusetts.
What were your first impressions when you arrived there?
It was a lot easier than basic training. It wasn't as disciplined, although there's a certain amount of discipline, but not as bad.
What was your first assignment there?
Schooling. Went there for training.
Where did you go after that?
Germany for 2 years.
And after that, how did you end up in Vietnam?
I volunteered to go to Vietnam. Me and my friend from Rhode Island.
Describe a typical day in your service.
Which location? Vietnam. I worked the second shift when I was there. Um,
What was a typical day there? What would you do if you can say that?
oh, we did our assignment, which was, you know,
You can't talk about that.
yeah, that was confidential. And technically, we weren't even there. Didn't even wear a shoulder patch. It was radio research, they call
Okay. Did you see combat?
it. Rocket attacks. We had frequent rocket attacks, and we used to have to. Every unit within FUBI had to supply personnel for outer perimeter guard duty. At night.
Were there casualties in your unit?
No, there were after I left though. Yeah, I was in touch with a friend from Rhode Island. We went over together. He said that a couple of guys got killed and some wounded in a rocket attack.
Were you a prisoner of war?
No,
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
I got the standard National Defense Service Medal, Good Conduct. The two Vietnam medals, Vietnam Service Medal. I forget the name of the other one. One's awarded by the U.S., the other one by the Vietnamese government. And our unit got the Bronze Star.
And how did you get them?
Well, you get the National Service and Good Conduct are automatic after X number of years, and then the two medals for being in Vietnam and the Bronze Star. Like I say, our whole unit got the Bronze Star unit citation.
Were you a veteran of high rank? Are you a veteran?
I was enlisted E5.
You were not involved in battle planning?
No,
Did you sustain any injuries?
no.
All right, about your life. Did you stay in touch with your family?
While I was in the military?
Yes.
Yeah.
What was the food like?
Powdered eggs, powdered milk. Had an episode of food poisoning. Was there, and that was, you think that it makes the flu look like the sniffles.
Actually, how did you stay in touch with your family in Vietnam?
Letters.
Letters? Did you have enough supplies?
Yeah, we were supplied. Like I say, the food was not the best.
Did you feel pressure or stress?
Oh yeah, definitely.
How did you handle it?
A lot of beer and other things. We used to stay up all night. So the reason why we did that is because they usually set up the rockets, the enemy, under the cover of darkness, and we stayed up all night so we would be, ready.
Was there something special you did for good luck?
No, not really.
How did people entertain themselves?
Music. We had Armed Forces Network out of Da Nang. They had all the rock and roll of the day and substances, and
Were there entertainers?
yeah, Bob Hope came over at Camp Eagle up near Way. Saw Bob Hope and the Gold Diggers, a bunch of scantily clad women.
Yeah. Did you see any USO shows?
Well, I think that was put on by the USO.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob Hope.
Did you go on leave at all?
Yeah.
Where did you go?
Taiwan.
What did you do there?
Partied.
Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events?
My whole time in?
Would you be willing to share a few specific ones?
Let me think. Not that I could, I'd have to think for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were some of the pranks you or others would pull?
Well, we didn't do it specifically, but it was a brigade of the 101st Airborne Division, the Screaming Eagles. They had the perimeter next to us, the section of the perimeter they were responsible for, and they used to shoot at each other for fun. we did. Yeah, we had to hide behind one side of the bunker that we were in, because the bullets are going past us. You can hear the bullets going by.
Were any of them injured?
No.
What did you think of your officers and your fellow servicemen?
They were pretty decent overall. We had some guys that were a pain in the what, but
Did you keep a journal?
no.
And after service, where did you end up after your service ended?
In what sense? So employment or?
Where did you go, location-wise?
I went back to the Greater Waterbury area.
Can you tell me about the day you were discharged? Or the day you left?
Yeah, that was interesting. I got out at Oakland Army Base in California, and it was nice. Got the pre-screen. They do a whole series of they give you an exam, and there's all kinds of stuff, processing, pay that you have left over, and the routine stuff. Took a nice hot shower, got a nice clean uniform, and went to San Francisco International Airport. And this was when that, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the hippie generation there, the way it was Haight-Ashbury and San Francisco. Matter of fact, let me just backstep. Yeah, when I was, I did temporary duty at, what was it, Two Rock Ranch at Petaluma. It was just north of San Francisco. And I got to see San Francisco. I borrowed a car from someone I knew from Fort Devens. And that was a nice experience. But anyway, back to the airport. That was when women were going braless and everything. It was like a whole transition from when I went in till I got back. And got a night flight to Kennedy Airport and then a hop to Bradley.
What was your homecoming like?
Uneventful.
What did you do in the days and weeks after your dischargement?
Just relax, took it easy.
Did you go to work or back to school?
No, I didn't. Didn't go back to work for a while, for a few months.
Did you have an education afterwards?
No. Well, I took a correspondence course in building construction.
Was that supported by the GI Bill?
Yeah.
Did you make any close friendships in the service?
Yeah, I got to know some people pretty well.
Are you still in contact with those people today?
Yeah, one guy in Rhode Island that we went over together, like I mentioned earlier.
What did you go on to do as a career after your service?
I did some sales, and then I was in construction for a while. I finally ended up in the Postal Service.
How did your military experiences influence your thinking about war or the military in general?
That's a tough one. Oh, geez. Well, I know the military war is ugly. Most people realize. But I know it's necessary to have the military because it's a dangerous world. And I think it's good. It's good discipline. It's a good for maturation process. For young men and women to get out and get away from, the shelter of home. And it's overall it's very good for, like I said, the maturation process.
Did you join any veteran organizations?
Yeah, I'm a member of the VFW and Disabled American Veterans.
Are you still active?
Yes.
How soon after your dischargement did you join these organizations?
DAV was, that was about 3 or 4 years after. VFW around the same time.
Do you attend reunions?
No.
How did your service and experiences affect your life?
Yeah, like I said, it was. I don't know. It's hard to say. Well, I got to see a lot of the world. I know that. I was all over the world, in both Europe and not so much Vietnam. I just went on R&R, but it opened my eyes up to the world, and there's just there's a lot more than just this one little area of the country.
Is it something you would do again?
Go in the military?
Yeah.
No, I couldn't go in the military. No, I'm too old.
I mean, if you were to go back.
Would I do it again?
Yes.
Probably not. Probably not.
Is there anything you would like to add that has not been covered in this interview?
No, I just want to say I have a great deal of respect for people who serve, especially those that were really adversely affected, either mentally or physically wounded. And I think military service is one of the most honorable things that anyone can do to help defend the country. Like I said, it's a dangerous world out there. As you know, you see the news. And I think it's one of the most, like I said, the most honorable things that someone can do.
I'd like to thank you for your service and also for taking time to be interviewed today.
Thank you.
right there, like 15 minutes. Is around somewhere like 30 minutes. Maybe. So the other experiences, is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, let me see. There was basic training. Basic training, or at the rifle range, we're using M14s. And drill sergeant said there's different types of things we were doing. One of them was fire X number of rounds off. And I fired one more round, I believe, than he said to fire. And we had steel pots on, the liner with the steel helmet. And he was, everyone had them on at the range. And he came over. I didn't see him coming. He took his steel pot off, and I think really hard. He hit me on the head with his steel pot. So it was the two steel pots going together. He almost knocked me out. I actually literally saw stars. Almost knocked me out. It's like, what the heck did you do that for? Trying to kill me, but let me see, basic training. There was that experience on the bus, like I mentioned before. That was funny. Not at the time, though, but, let me see, Fort Devens. I was at Fort Devens for about 9 months. That was my secondary training for my specialty. They call it MOS, Military Occupational Specialty. And then it was over to Germany. Saw a lot of Europe. Me and 3 other guys, we took it was a 30-day leave from Germany. We went all the way down to Morocco, North Africa. And some of the sights, some of the scenery was it was breathtaking. I mean, the mountains in Switzerland and the Bavarian Alps. I went up on the Zugspitze, the highest mountain, and this was another trip, just a break. The highest mountain in Germany, you get to the peak, it's like you're in an airplane, you're so high. And it's right on the border with Switzerland and Germany, and you can look right into Switzerland, and all you see as far as the eye, all the way to the horizon is just snow-covered peaks. And the clouds are below you. You're above the clouds. And that's an interesting, it's like you're in an airplane. That's how high you are, And I went through France, Spain, saw a bullfight in Spain, the Grand Prix of Barcelona, saw the Rock of Gibraltar along the Mediterranean coast of Spain. We were up the beaten path, too. We were on some of the places the tourists don't go, Then we finally went down to Torremolinos and Gibraltar, and we crossed over into Morocco. And that was a great trip. And I had all those photographs. I don't know what happened to them when that moved in the early 70s when I moved. They got lost.
When you were traveling, were you wearing your uniform?
No, we were in civilian clothes, yeah. We were in a little 56 Volkswagen Beetle with a little oval window in the back. It was wild. We had to get all the gas coupons because gas in Europe was a lot more expensive at the time.
In Germany, what were you doing on a daily basis?
The same thing I did in Vietnam.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in Germany, did you have any days off during the week, or?
Yeah, we did rotating shifts. We did I did like 5 or 6 days on one shift. Then we'd have a 2 or 3 day break. Then we go to the second shift, and I forget how many day breaks there were in between. It varied, and then we do nights for like a week, and then it just kept rotating over and over.
Would you say your work in Germany was easier than in Vietnam?
Yeah, there wasn't a threat of attack or anything. It wasn't a combat zone.
Were you on a military base when you were in Germany?
Oh yeah. It was an old Luftwaffe base. Our ops building was an old Luftwaffe hangar. Yeah.
Was Germany still heavily thinking about what had happened during World War II when you were there?
Not so much the younger generation, people of my age. Yeah, I guess that's a period they really wanted to forget about, so to speak. Of what happened.
When you went to Vietnam, did any of your friends from Germany go with you?
Yeah, my friend Builder we went over together.
And he was performing the same job you were?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you tell me stories about what you happened or any experiences on the travel or what occurred when you were there?
Well, in Vietnam, there was one thing too I wanted to mention. I had, I think, 10 days. I remember this vividly. 10 days left in country before I was due to be, discharged, go back to the States, and we had, like I say, we had rocket attacks intermittently through the whole time I was there. But we had one that started in the middle of the night. It was like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and they just kept intermittently all night long sending rockets in. And I remember one landing in front of me, maybe about 100 yards out. And it's what it's like. It's orange. It's like, fireworks, and they explode. But the only thing is all those lines going out have red hot shrapnel, you know. And the two landed on Route 1, I remember, to the east, because we were right by the coast, South China Sea. And several of them landed down there. And then what really scared me, though, to a large degree, was the fact that there was a huge ammo dump right behind us. They had everything from artillery rounds, small arms, everything, all that stuff, mortar rounds. And if a rocket ever hit that ammo dump, I think it would have been over for us. Because that would have went up like, and that really scared me. And they even sent the ground reaction force out to its reinforcements, in case there was a ground attack. That was one thing that really stood out. And also another thing, too, flying in the FUBA. I used to get around on C-130s and 123s, like the movie Con Air. That's a C-123. And those things are like, they'll rattle your bones, And we're coming into the FUBA, when coming up from Saigon. And the landing here, we didn't realize it at the time. You're all tense. You don't know what to expect. And you hear this whining sound and shaking, and then this bang. And what it was the landing gear coming down. The whole plane shook when it locked into place. And we were, when we get hit, that was funny. That was one thing that stands out also.
During the rocket attack, were you ever scared that this was it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those can land anywhere. They're all random.
Did any of them land and hit a building or a target?
Not while I was there. Yeah, not while I was there, but there were damaged buildings. When I got there, there was, I think, the Enlisted Man's Club. The corner of it was gone. A rocket hit the corner of the club and just wiped out the whole section of the building.
In Vietnam, did you interact with any civilians there?
No, I didn't. That was too dangerous. Couldn't go off the base.
You didn't go off the base?
Oh, we did once. Went into Hue. Visited an orphanage there in Hue. And I could see all the, on some of the buildings from Tet in '68 when they had the big offensive, there was shrapnel you see it gouged out of some of the buildings where rounds hit.
Did you see how civilians were affected by the war?
Not really. Like I said, I wasn't out. You couldn't mingle with the civilian population.
When you said you went to Taiwan, were the people in Taiwan affected at all by the war, did you say?
No, I don't. No, not in any noticeable way.
When you went to Taiwan, was it a shock or was it strange to be out of the battle zone?
It was relaxing. Got a chance to relax.
Was it hard to return?
Yeah, it was.
Hard to return back to reality.
Right.
Can you tell me any stories about your friends? Did they stay there longer than you?
Yeah, I had my friend from Rhode Island who I went over with. He had a separation date that was further into the future, so he had to stay there for a while. That's when I mentioned earlier that there was a rock. I think it was mortars too. They sent mortar rounds, and they got close enough for that. And 2 guys were killed, he said, and some were wounded.
During the mortar attacks, did people go out to look to see who was launching them?
Most likely, yeah. I wasn't there. Like I said, I was already discharged. He's going by what my friend told me.
So during the rocket attacks, everybody would just hide inside?
Yeah, the siren goes off. Usually, by the time the sirens go off, it's too late to, they're already coming in. So you just hope. We had a big trench line, and you make a beeline for the trench line. I just hope one doesn't land in the trench line. If it lands outside, you're probably okay because you're below ground. And
your base where you were, was it surrounded by a barbed wire fence or
concertina wire and bunkers, sandbag bunkers. Our particular unit, the 8th Radio Research Field Station, had a double fence like you see in prisons. And in between the two fences were all landmines.
You would say you were pretty well like ready for a land assault.
Oh yeah, we had a ground reaction force. They had, we had the helicopter gunships on call anytime
Did
they
you
were
have a
needed.
land assault while you were there?
I witnessed a fire base being attacked way in the distance.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, they had the Cobra gunships came in. I don't know if you've ever, you guys aren't from around here, right? No. Well, there's VFW post in Prospect has a Cobra gunship mounted, an old one, in front of the building on a big pedestal. Anyway, they came in. They were firing rockets and a minigun, and you could see as the minigun was sweeping in the nose, of the helicopter, you could see the tracer rounds staggered as it was moving the gun back and forth. And they had twin 40s, which are anti-aircraft guns. They were leveled them horizontal with the ground. They were firing the twin 40s at the attackers.
Were there any friendly fire incidents when you were there?
Well, just the 101st screwballs that were shooting at each other. That was an experience.
So while you were at the research station, were you just part of that, or were you part of a greater battalion or company?
We were pretty much our own, with our own enclosed unit, because like I say, we were ASA, technically we weren't there. Although they knew we existed.
While you were there, did you get the opportunity to meet the enemy? Anybody who was against you, the North Vietnamese or anybody?
No.
No. After you left, did you hear stories about miss being there, or no? You were just grateful to be out.
Missed being there?
I mean, did you miss being with your friends?
Yeah, I missed some of the friends that I made. Yeah.
Can you tell me how you got from Vietnam back to California? Did you go by boat or plane?
Went by, no, everything was contracted, charter flights. I think I went over in a Super DC-8 and landed at, where did I land? At Benoit going in. And it was one interesting story. When I was due to leave to get discharged, they have these, the Air Force has these, they call aerial ports, the little airports, and that's how they ferry supplies and people all over the country. And the C-123 was, again, Con Air was coming up the coast and was supposed to arrive like 1 o'clock, which I was ready to go home, right? And waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, right? Finally, I don't know what the hell's going on. Well, it's having engine trouble all the way up the coast. Oh, wonderful. We're going to get on this plane. Finally, it comes in like 1 o'clock at night. We're sleeping out on the benches up, by the airstrip. And we get on the plane, flying in the middle of the night back down to Saigon, and here is I'm just thinking this thing had engine trouble all the way up from Tan Son Nhut Air Base, and went on R&R. It was a C-130. They had trouble starting the one of the engines, and trying to start it. Okay, it wouldn't start. Everybody off, and you had the rolling scaffolding up there, and they opened up the cowlings, and they were working on the engine, working on it. A couple hours later, okay, everybody back on. Okay. A little nervous.
When you got to California, was it a bit of a culture shock?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because of the hippie thing, the hippie generation.
Tell me about that, how from being in Vietnam to being in the hippie movement, what was that like?
It was very something you really noticed, And actually, before I went over to Vietnam, I went to Haight-Ashbury with my friend there when we were temporary duty at the Two Rock Ranch, and we went down what was that? There's one section in San Francisco. I forget the name of it. Long Beach.
In California?
Yeah, in San Francisco.
Okay.
And Haight-Ashbury. I saw people with afros like this. I mean, wild, like a foot out. The women were browless, most of them. I saw that at the San Francisco Airport, International Airport. It was like, wow. I'll tell you, another thing that's really hit me is, Now, I already knew what being born here and raised here in the United States, coming back and walking into a supermarket, it's like I had forgotten to a degree what it was like to have so much abundance in the country. And I was just like, oh my God. You could go down a row of Nile with cereal. What is there, 50, 60 different types of cereals or 100 different types? And I'm thinking we had, what I saw back there, I saw peasants there just on the garbage trucks. They were picking through the garbage, eating garbage. When we went up to Way for that visit, they just lived, they were in shacks in that one village. It's just, they used beer cans and soda cans. They flattened them for roof shingles. And they were just shacks. They were sheds with dirt floors.
Did it make you feel more grateful to have gone there to see how much you guys had?
Yeah, to realize what we have, the abundance we have in this country. Most people, I don't think, realize how most of the rest of the world lives. They live in abject poverty. They have nothing.
When you came back and you said you went into sales,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do you think your military experience influenced your job decision or your choices or how you work?
Not really. What I had done, I remember in Germany, it reminds me. I wrote CIA, and they sent me an application, but then the application was so damn long.
You
And,
weren't interested?
no, but then I started thinking, you can get assigned anywhere in the world. You work out of an embassy, and I didn't, my luck, I would have been in Iran when they took the hostages, in the embassy. So it's a good thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Would you say that when you got back to the United States, people were a bit wary of you? Did they think of you as a hero, or did they think of you as a stranger?
I didn't really have any experiences related to that to speak of. Not like some of the guys.
When you came back, did you just go back and run around the house?
Yeah, it took a few months. So I just unwind. Yeah.
Yeah, was there a lot of stress when you came back, or was most of it just gone?
Most of it was removed from my environment.
Yeah, did you have a family around when you got home?
Yeah.
How did it feel to see them again?
Good. Felt good.
Cool. All right,
Okay, that's the end of the.
Is there anything else you want to share, or is that all?
No, it's just pretty much what I said before. The end of the last segment.
Cool. All right. Good deal. Thank you again.
Okay, thanks.